Bezalel, only Jewish women. Don't forget Bezalel. Only Jewish. Stay Jewish.
Well, I sent Yaakov a text message and said, hey, don't worry. She would not convert me into any religion.
Only Jewish, Bezalel.
She will not convert me to any religion, but I can convert her. With your help.
I don't know about that, but we'll see. Okay. Let's get it over.
Don't count your chickens,
Don't cut your chickens?
Before they hatch.
Right.
Chickens, he's got a freezer full.
I got a lot of chicken.
I just had a little talk with Scott. I wonder, compare my experience in Taiwan with his, because he hates Taiwanese and I hate Taiwanese. No. I did not. Despise it, okay.
Know that this is recorded, so please mind your language. Hey, Jonah, you don't want to sit by the table? You'll see better the screen and everything.
Sure. What came to my mind now is, when I tried to process what he said, that the Chinese people in Taiwanese especially are probably the only nation who appreciated you can speak Taiwan.
Okay, that's interesting.
So others appreciate the opposite.
Yeah.
It's a cap.
Really? I think the French don't like it when you can speak.
Oh, much perfect
French, they don't like anyone.
I speak perfect frog. Mais de l'accent, non?
I speak perfect frog.
Non, même si tu as un accent français,
Ouais.
Alors,
tu as pas l'accent français, alors c'est pas possible. C'est pas possible. What? Oh, my mother sure has. Born in Paris.
Mais quand tu parles de français, spécialement les Parisiens, ils sont complètement tiqués ton accent.
Ouais.
Et n'essayez pas que
Mon français.
Attention. Okay, so 2014, a group of researchers from the University of Pennsylvania decided to analyze. They do it nowadays all the time. SEO, search engine optimization, mainly done for business usage, to try and bring you to the first result on Google. As a user, I know that I won't necessarily click the first result. It doesn't mean they have the best service. It's just paid more money and hire better people to make sure they're on the first. But probably the third and the fourth are as good, if not better. They just probably put their money where they're supposed to be doing. In any event, they analyzed 2014. They analyzed 8 years of Google searching, and they found out that every year on January 1st, the word diet, how to do a diet, what to do a diet, what's diet, anything that has to do with diet had jumped 80% up on January 1st, the word diet. The phenomenon was also, although in smaller ratios in the beginning of every month and sometimes in the beginning of a week, there could be a slight increase in the word diet. Another research had shown that on their birthday, consumers are more receptive to different changes. A person who would get on their birthday an advertisement for a pension fund or saving money for a rainy day, whatever it's called, is more likely to be intrigued and even to proceed in getting that pension. And of course, we know the same. We don't need those researchers. We know the same. Every year when Rosh Hashanah comes around, everybody has that mind, that thought crossing their mind of how to become better, how to do things better. And what happens is that when we are in this very busy period of the high holidays, there's so many trees and you can barely see the forest, as the saying says. What happens is that the beginning, we have to have, everything is very intense in Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, between the prayers and the seriousness and, everything that's around it. We cannot really see how we can really make a change that is applicable, a change that is real, a change that is genuine. And, the fact is that people are searching every year on January 1st, the word diet. Well, if they were to do a diet on January 1st of last year, they wouldn't be looking for it any longer because they'll be okay, right? The fact is they keep looking it because they haven't gone on a diet, or they went on a diet and then they gained the weight back, which I don't know because I'm not on a diet. I'm trying to keep my weight a bit, but people who do go through diets would say that losing weight is very easy in comparison to maintaining the status of keeping, slim, right? That's the biggest challenge. Doing the thing, you could make it, and then how do you maintain it is the big deal.
It's like learning a language.
Just like learning a language, right? Perseverance is the
No,
key.
it's easy to learn, but
It's easy to learn, but unless you persevere, unless you use it and conversate and read and write, you would likely to not remember it in the same way. Here's a letter the Rebbe writes. This is 1963. Sorry, the font is a little small, but it's an important letter, and I suggest we all read it together. Regrettably, the Rebbe writes, this is a letter from this time of the year. It must be stated that for various reasons, there have been years and places in which the spiritual uplifting of Rosh Hashanah and the 10 days of penitence had not been fully utilized. The days of awe came and went, and in some communities and in some individuals, that uplifting dissipated without having brought about a change and an improvement in their personal daily life, as might have been expected of every Jewish man or woman. As a result, an improvement has also been lacking in the interpersonal realm. One of the main causes of this is the fact that some people do not utilize the inspiration of the days of awe in a way that will affect themselves, but in ways that will affect others. These days are often exploited, the Rebbe writes, this is a quote from the Rebbe letter, exploited for airing wide-ranging slogans that address worldwide problems, messages that obligate no one, and certainly no one in the writer's immediate vicinity. Such pronouncements leave everyone gratified. Their ostensible justifications that Rosh Hashanah relates to the entire universe, and the whole world has no shortage of high-sounding matters that need to be improved or changed. Such matters will mostly remain unaffected by fiery oratory or staunch resolutions. Such talk only serves the speaker as a convenient and respectable excuse for not focusing his total and critically required attention on his personal stock-taking and on his daily life. And this is an area which could in fact be affected by a determined resolve of his part. People focus on the global part, which is important and great, but at the end of the day, you're left with nothing plus nothing.
Beautiful to say this attitude right here does not even reach the level of focusing on a global part. This, if it cannot obligate the speaker, it lacks focus completely, not even global focus.
Right. I agree. So the problem is people don't have concrete destination. Here's a Jewish fellow, actually used it from someone else. His name was Peter Druckers. Maybe he was Jewish too, but Robert Rubin was Jewish, of course. And he wrote about the SMART. He brought this system into life. And he says to make your goals clear and reachable, then you should use the acronym SMART. The acronym SMART. Specific. It needs to be simple, sensible, significant. You need to focus on something specific. And it has to be measurable. Not saying, I'm going to do and make a big change. Put numbers into your resolution. If this is about losing weight, if this is about getting rid of bad habits, if this is about stop smoking, quit drinking, and so on, put it at a measurable, significant amount. Achievable. Make sure it's attainable. Don't go over your head. You want to change? Everyone accepts that. Everyone respects that. Make sure you set goals that are attainable. And it has to be relevant, reasonable, realistic, which is very important. Result-based, meaning something that is in your realm, in your world. And the best, and probably the most important of all, it has to be time-bound. If somebody would say, from this day, ever, I will not do this and that, the chances of that successful are very slim, as opposed to someone saying, in the next 6 months, 3 months, 2 weeks, 5 days, I will refrain from this and that. What will happen in 2 weeks, 5 days, 6 months? We'll get there and we'll see. I'll probably take a better resolution and probably make progress and make it genuine. When you have time bound, when you know there's ending to it, you would do everything in your might to stick to it. People
I
who
mentioned something that is kind of obvious. Hard as this is always, it sounds in principle that spiritual objectives can be harder to be made according to this because many spiritual objectives are not measured. Maybe that's where mitzvot can help.
Right, absolutely. Mitzvot are measurable. Mitzvot are time-bound, time-based. Mitzvot are relevant, and yeah, mitzvot are attainable.
Because otherwise, most good, relevant, achievable, specific spiritual objectives might be not measurable.
Absolutely, you're right. Probably this is the key. For the way you presented, this is the key measurable. I thought of it, the time bound would be the key to everything, because once again, if you have no time, then you kind of scatter around and you're not sure how. But if in the next 2 hours, 5 days, 2 hours, I'm not going to take my phone next to me and I'll concentrate on what I have to do, you're likely to do that. Whereas opposed to say, well, always when I work on my project, I'll never have my phone next to me. It will be very difficult to achieve it and to have it, as something that would continue.
This is why Shabbos is so central.
You could say that, yeah. You could say why Shabbos is so central. Yeah, definitely Shabbos touches upon several of these, if not all of those points. So what happens is that we want to become better, we want to change, but we are lacking the tools to it. And we want to dedicate our class today to one single word, the word Chodesh. Chodesh is month in Hebrew, and we're going to see that there's 2 ways of saying month. There's Chodesh and there's Yerach, and we'll see the distinction between the two. The word Chodesh in Hebrew comes from the word, or has in it the word Lehitchadesh, to renew, to become new, to start again. Renewal, yes?
What's the difference, if any, between the simple word new, like Chadash, and Chodesh? The root is the same.
The root is the same, yes, but the meaning is, they're associated, they're close to each other. Chodesh comes from the word Chadash. Every month you start again, so the cycle begins again, so definitely it's appropriate. And yeah, you're right, and the root is there.
As an astronomer,
You're an astronomer? I thought he is.
You underestimate.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry?
He's an astrologer.
Okay. He's not an astrologer. He's not an astrologer. Yeah. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yes. So, as an astronomer, I think that's basically comes from observing the new moon every month.
Yeah. We're going to see the distinction between the two.
New.
Yeah. I want to focus something that was mostly on last week's portion. I wish Marty was here because he has asked me directly, and so did Itamar, about the beginning of last week's portion. And it's about the story with the person going to war. Let's see what's the story. Beautiful woman. If you go out to war against your enemies, and the Lord your God will deliver him in your hands, and you take his captives, and you see among the captives a beautiful woman, and you desire her, you may take her for yourself as a wife. You shall bring her into your home, and she shall shave her head and let her nails grow, and she shall remove the dress of her captivity from upon herself and stay in your house and weep for her father and mother for a full month. After that, you may be intimate with her and possess her, and she will be your wife. She will be a wife for you. This is a commandment. No, it doesn't say. She wasn't Jewish, yeah.
So she gets to be your wife.
What? No, she needs to convert.
I think
we're talking.
Her Jewish, that's it.
What? Yeah, well.
That's what I'll do. I can do it too.
Wait. The Talmud has a 1-month conversion process?
Wait a second. Let's put things in order, okay? What happens is nowadays everybody's talking about morals in war, and you have to don't shoot, and you don't shoot at captives or whatever. You're not supposed to prisoners of war, POWs, supposed not to keep them alive. The Geneva, what is it? The Geneva that you can't shoot at paratroopers when they're you have to wait till they hit the ground. Yeah. And the Arabs are really they're all about signing agreements and respecting them. But anyways, that's officially the world is becoming more moral. Of course, in practice, it's not always the case. We're talking in the days where war was, as it is, war, a big mess, a big chaos, and the Torah, having known that people are often moved by inclinations, desires, lust, and so on. And Torah knows that when a soldier is in the battlefield, they'll do everything to survive, and that's why they're allowed to eat non-kosher food, and they're allowed to do all kinds of things which basically sustains them in order for the war effort, the campaign to succeed. One of the things that is permissible, mususi permissible, not wanted and not suggested, and of course not recommended, but permissible. Somebody is out there and there's captives, there's a beautiful woman, and Torah says, here's what Rashi brings from the Talmud, when you desire her, you may take her for yourself as a wife. Look at that, Betzalel. Not that you are commanded to take this woman as a wife, but Scripture is permitting the marriage, is speaking only against the evil inclination which drives him to desire her. For if the Holy One, blessed be, would not permit her to him, he would take her illicitly. The Torah teaches us, however, that if he marries her, he will ultimately come to despise her, as the verse continues, that the woman that he doesn't like, and so on and so forth. You could see how it continues. Just to get the topic right, so I don't, by mistake say something that is wrong, this is only said about the first time they get together. Torah says, if you see you can't control yourself, and you're distracted, you're disoriented, whatever it is, the Torah says, I know that if I'll tell you no, you're going to do yes. So I tell you yes, but only one time you're supposed, or the soldier is supposed to be intimate with this woman. And then there's no such thing as a whorehouse. It's not, intimate with someone, what they call one night stand. No such thing. Intimate with someone, and then you kick them out of your house, and they don't want to hear from you, you don't want to hear from them. That is not permissible by Torah under no circumstances. Okay? So what happens is that this intimacy that is formed, which doesn't come from a pure source, clearly, right? If you want to endure it, if you want to continue that, there are conditions to be met. And one of them is she has to go, she has to cry, she has to sit, she has to be growing her nails, shaving her head, doing all kinds of things in order for her not to find favor in your eyes. And what happens is that when she, by the way, I want to go back a bit to where we were. It says, and she shall remove the dress of her captivity. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, usually when someone is captured, they're not really wearing a beautiful dress or so on. But in fact, and the Gemara is telling us that in those days, when women were, when there was war coming into the city, they knew that the women would dress in beautiful clothing and also put makeup on them out of hope to be able to temptate or to seduce someone to go with them in order for it to be saved, to be redeemed, not to be killed with all the entire camp, all the entire city. So they were actually planning it this way. It was not only, it was accustomed, it was even accepted. You go out to the war and you loot, you take everything you want, including humans. We talk about slave trade, we talk about all different things that are existing in modern day history, or not today, but in modern day history, people still acknowledge that. One of the things is definitely in that case. Yeah, you were saying something, wait, and then I'll get you.
Something that I think I read a few days ago when reading the Torah Parsha. If I'm right, in this particular case, there is a prohibition against enslaving the captive.
Correct. You're not supposed to make her, if you don't want to marry her, giving all the, she sits there, shaves her head, grows her nails, becomes, not very attractive, and you feel like, okay, this was a stupid mistake, very silly of me, and now you can't enslave that woman. You have to let her go. It doesn't work like this, right? If you want to marry her, there's conditions, she has to convert and all that, but if you feel like you don't want, which is what Torah really wants you to do, then you have to let her go and be a free woman for herself. Yeah, you were saying something?
I just, chewing on what you have been saying a few minutes ago. You said I will recommend, I'm not recommending it, but I can, suggest, how did you say that?
Regarding what? What the Torah says, yeah, you shouldn't.
About taking
I'm
the
not.
woman.
Yeah, I'm not telling you you should do it. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's now I understand our relationship. You can recommend, I can listen to it, and take it into consideration and do my own thing.
Uh-huh. Well, you've been doing that all that time. It's not like it's a brand just in. You've been doing that all the time.
For some of them, unusual mitzvot, especially unusual in this generation and even for lots of history, we might not have even a single example of it ever been effective, and for some there is doubt they ever were effective.
Correct.
If I remember right, for this one, there are a handful of concrete examples known.
You're asking me, or you're saying?
I think there are.
Okay, perhaps I don't. Yeah, it says Avshalom. Avshalom came from Yefat Torah, right? Avshalom.
Not the example, remember, were children of David, maybe Avshalom.
That was Avshalom. You are absolutely right. That was Avshalom. Yes, he came. His mother was Yefat Torah in this incident. Yeah, there are cases recorded, and all of them, by the way, recorded as having evolved into sad ending. Avshalom, of course, very sad ending. But even the other cases, this is not a recommended relationship. This is not starting in the right manner, in the right way. Now, interesting to say that she would sit. Let me get back to the verse again. She would weep for her father and mother for a full month. In English, the same translation is applicable. In Hebrew, it says Yerach Yamim. Yerach. Okay, I'm sorry. It wasn't supposed to be acronym. It's supposed to be synonym. I'm sorry. My bad. Yerach or Chodesh, moon or month, they have the same meaning. Of course, we are, relating the two in the same context. In the beginning of when we describe a month, and we say Yerach has in it the word Yereach, moon. Chodesh is the word month. We said earlier, Chadash, Chodesh, Chadash, a new month, a new moon. Now, in all the description of the Torah, besides two places in Torah, and this was checked, I didn't check it, but somebody checked it, the Torah calls a month Chodesh. That's the word we use in modern day Hebrew, Chodesh. There are two instances where Yerach is mentioned. One is here, in the time that woman should sit in the house and cry for 1 month. It says 1 moon. She should sit there and cry. Another one is at the birth of Moses, and she hid him for 3 months. For 3 moons, she hid the baby for 3 months. The Egyptians were having registration. By the way, speaking of, somebody mentioned the other day about how what's one of the more horrible facts of World War II was not only that the Nazis killed so many Jews, but they did it in such an order, and such a system was put in place. Everything was going by the system. So, they were not the first ones. The Egyptians exploiting and enslaving the Jews had the registration of every woman, every Jewish woman that was pregnant, and they were following up to see when the baby is born, and then to be able to kill the baby, to drown him in the river. So when Yocheved, the mother of Moses, was conceived, and then they had, of course, the registration. Moses was born on the 6th month of her pregnancy. It was a premature, and that is why she had 3 months to hide the baby. And then she hid the baby for 3 months. It doesn't say 3 months. It says Shlosha Yerachim, 3 moons. That is when she hid the baby. Now, we find that...
Is the word Yerach used in astronomical sense also?
Yeah, it's a Yerach is Yerach. Yeah, the word Yerach in the same spelling. Okay, I'm sorry for belittling you, Bezalel. I'm sorry. I apologize in public. Whoever.
I studied astronomy from the age of 11.
Really? I thought you were in physics. I thought physics was your field.
I went into physics because I loved astronomy, and it was not available as pure astronomy.
Okay.
And that was ancient history.
Okay.
I would say, as a linguist, though, that Yerach Yamim, it sounds a perfect translation.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
but
like
the
a numerical unit, like Chamsha Yamim.
Right. But we say Ba'ot Chodesh Yamim, in 1 month. So yeah, I agree with you. It is true, but the Torah doesn't use this word. Significantly, we see that there is a big distinction when we were Chodesh and Yerach. It is with regarding to Ktubah and Get. Where is it? Oh, didn't I? Oh, I forgot. I forgot that. Oh, I deleted that slide by
It can
mistake.
be in principle any moon, not
Okay.
specifically the new moon.
Where was it?
One more
Yes.
question.
Yeah.
Yericho
Yes.
is definitely related to that somehow. I don't know exactly how. But today we know who occupies it. And they call it as like there is a side at the entrance, welcome to the city of the moon.
City of the Moon.
Yes.
Oh, really?
So they translated it to English like that.
Really? I didn't know they call it City of the Moon.
I saw it somewhere like the poster.
I know it's called Irat Marin, the city of the date. Okay, interesting.
But Yericho is the same route, definitely.
Yeah, I hear it.
Tell me, maybe you know more like
Where was it?
how is it connected to Yericho?
Oh, here it
In the
is.
Jewish tradition.
Here in Ketubah. The Ketubah says Chodesh. The Get says Yerach. The Ketubah, just a second, I'll tell you. Where was it? I thought I had it here. Okay. Anyways, the Ketubah, when getting married, it says Chodesh. Chodesh mitchadesh, getting new. Yerach, it means like a moon which is already done. Where is it? Okay, I found it somewhere. Yeah, you were saying something. I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you know if there is anything in Jewish tradition that elucidates the connection between the city of Yericho and the Yarech as still by?
Well, I don't know of anything in specific, but I'm assuming there is. I just don't know of it.
Because it's definitely the same route and the Arabs prove it.
You see, they use it. Sometimes we have our evidence elsewhere. Okay, so Yerach, Chodesh against Yerach. There's you know that probably in the 60s. You were living around in the 60s when they said make love, not war, right? This was one of the slogans of the 60s in the hippies. And somebody said, oh, you could get married and have them both, right? Love and war, right? You can get them both by getting married. It's a joke. It's a joke. I didn't mean to. Anyway.
That doesn't happen in Hasidic.
No, not in Hasidic families. No wars whatsoever. My wife wins everything. There's no war. When you have one side winning, the other is losing. There's no war, right? So, of course, when you talk about people who are married and living their life together and sharing their lives, we could see a clear distinction between those who have been married just for less than a year and those who have been married for 20 years. There could be cases where we find people arguing, where we find people, sitting in the park, and you say those who talk to each other are newlyweds, and those who are quiet are already been married for many years. And one of the things that probably causes this is the idea of getting used to, of having a routine and having a habit, and the habit kills the excitement. Having things in the same way gives you security, it gives you trust, it gives you partnership, it gives you knowledge that the person standing next to you will always be for you and you'll be for them. But what it does kill, it kills the excitement just for the same reason that you know and you understand and you appreciate that you know everything about the other party, they know about you, then we are losing the excitement. We are pre-programmed to get excited over new things and not to get excited from the things we already know. Just a second, when we talk about excitement, we talk about desire, we talk about will, all this comes from the root of novelty. A person is, a human being is a live creature, and the symbol of life is growth and renewal. And just like God made us in a way that we will be similar to Him, God created us in this idea and gave us, inherit in us the curiosity. A human being wants to learn to know this world, to learn about new worlds, to conquer, to be in places that he wasn't in yet. And when you get used to a certain thing, then you lose all the excitement. Yes?
God is the creator, and we in His image are also creators. What's wrong with young people, and I used to be one of them, is that they think that sex is just for fun. They don't know that sex is actually exchanging genes and creating a new life. And that's why I push it in the Jewish tradition, because it's always seen that you have a partner, you have a goal, a family.
Mm-hmm.
You have to create a family and raise your kids, etc. And it's not just like a fun, a quickie, a one night stand, etc. And finish.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, this is sanctified. This is holy. This is how we could reproduce. This is how God's signature in this world is to give us continuity, to have the ability of creating, just like Mitzaleh said, creating new life. And obviously that puts it in a complete different place as opposed to just, some desire you have to fulfill. It becomes holy. It becomes something that you have so much to aspire to get to. Now, researches of brain would tell us about the dopamine and a few other that are in the same family. That's what causes our brain to respond to different things. That's why we get excited over different things. And the problem is that our body get used to certain things, our mind get used to, and then the regular dosage doesn't work, and then people go overdosing.
That's why all those people who are like celebrities, etc., they are too rich, and therefore nobody can tell them no, and so they all get the drug habit.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Name me any Michael Jackson, whatever. They usually have drug habit, and that shortens their lives.
Yeah.
A lot.
It's not only because nobody could tell them no, it's because they've done it all, been there, done that, check this on the list, now what will cause me excitement? And then even somebody does a little bit of drugs, and then what happens? They get used to it. And they get used to it, in order to get the same excitement, they need to increase the dosage.
Locks the fridge or something like that.
Yeah. And
can I say one more short
Sure.
From my personal experience. When I was 12, all my classmates said, if you don't smoke, you're a girl. See, you're a girl, a 12-year-old boy. Oh, no, I don't want to be a girl.
Uh-huh.
So, I also heard, I was smart enough, that if you smoke, you get addicted.
Uh-huh.
And I said, okay, maybe I'll try, maybe and they also told me, don't worry, the first time you maybe vomit it, you hate it, but anyway, you're gonna get over it, and then you can smoke normally. So I get my first cigarette, I inhale, unlike Clinton. You know the story, right?
No, okay, continue.
He said, I smoked, but I did not inhale.
Oh, okay.
It was about marijuana. So I inhaled. Such a pleasure. I love it. And then I thought, if I like it so much, it would be even more difficult to quit. So that was my last cigarette.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, wow. So that means you have a lot of willpower to stop it. Baruch Hashem. You're only getting smarter. You don't smoke, do you, Scott? Did you ever?
Nope.
No, not at all? Never tried?
One
That
cigarette.
was really boring.
What?
That was a really boring high school.
You don't smoke either? Never tried? Okay, I tried one at the age of 8. I suffocated. It was so disgusting. Age of 8, all the kids, they get excited, and that was my only cigarette.
It was in my first 12.
Oh, okay, in
No,
Bat
there
Yam.
were 3 old kids.
No, in Bat Yam, where I grew up in Israel, in Bat Yam, 8-year-old, and I smoked. I remember the feeling. It was so disgusting. It was so yikes. I said, this was the best thing in my life. I know I'm not going to ever touch a cigarette, and that's indeed never.
That's the opposite reason for mine.
Yeah?
But the result is the
You
same.
liked it. I said I will never have a cigarette in my life. I never get it. Anyway, I have other problems. I don't drink. I don't have coffee. Anyways, my bad.
Coffee.
What?
I'm coffee.
Okay, I don't drink
Do you
coffee.
drink tea?
No, I don't drink tea. No coffee.
Well, it's like Mormon.
I'm Mormon. Okay, I'm good enough as a rabbi.
No, right,
He drinks Shabbos wine.
I drink just enough to.
Mormons is a zero.
Okay, I'm not trying to be one.
Is tea a no-no in Hasidism?
Not at all. No, I just don't like
It's
it.
just a personal.
I don't like hot drink. If you see me drink tea, that means I'm not feeling so well. That's how I am.
Oh, okay, that's personal.
Yeah, it's just I don't like it anyway.
I know that Mormon church tea is prohibited.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
They're real crazy.
Okay. Okay, here's what the Baal Shem Tov says. Continuous delight ceases to be delight. Ta'anug tmimi and not ta'anug. is the saying ta'anug tmidi, right? Betzalel, ta'anug tmidi and not ta'anug. Continuous delight ceases to be delight, is no longer a delight.
Ta'anug is the same root as oneg.
Correct.
Oneg Shabbat.
Right. So, we say about the passing of Moses, we're getting near the end of the book of Deuteronomy, and the passing of Moses, and it says that the people cried for 30 days, whereas with Aaron it says that they continued on crying. So the Or HaChaim explains the following. It says like this: and the sons of Israel wept for Moses in the plains of Moab for 30 days, and the days of weeping over the mourning of Moses came to an end. Interesting how the Torah says the days of weeping came to an end. It's sad, sorrow, agony. You don't say the days of weeping came, but it says came to an end. So the Or HaChaim explains, with Aaron, they did not know of his passing beforehand, and therefore they all cried and couldn't be comforted. By Moses, however, he told them several months before, he told them, I'm going to die. And that's how he started his last sermon, and which lasted more and more, several weeks. So Moses prepared them for that. And we find that all the time, unfortunately, when somebody loses a family relative, be that a parent, a grandparent, and or someone who's near to them, and when that person is ill for a while, that actually eases the pain in a way. Well, for several reasons. One reason is you don't want to see the person close to you suffering. You don't want to see them in that state. They wouldn't want to see themselves in such a state, which I have to say, just as a side note, that according to Jewish religion, there's no such thing where we end somebody's life. In fact, God glorifies and sanctifies life. Even one moment of life is something worth to do everything, including violating the Torah, to sustain. There's a story with the Mittler Rebbe, the son of the Alter Rebbe in Lubavitch, and then I think it was with the Mittler Rebbe, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, there was a woman who wasn't well, she was ill, and they didn't have the medicine. And then they said there was a medicine in a nearby city. It was Shabbat or holiday or something like that, Shabbat probably. And the Rebbe said to go and send someone to the other city on Shabbat and retrieve the medicine. And somebody tried to exclaim that this woman is very ill and she probably won't make it to the end of Shabbat, even with the medicine. And the Mittler Rebbe became very serious and he said, we are not God's judges, and if we could extend a Jewish life even for several moments, we will do that, no matter what.
And even if it's potential.
Even if it's potential. Even if with the medicine we're not sure. If this might help her, we will do that. Yeah.
What about someone who has Lou Gehrig's disease?
Was what?
Lou Gehrig's disease.
What's
Degeneration.
Disease, lose all body function, can't feed themselves, can't move their bodies, can't do anything except move their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
They use their eyes to communicate and say, I would like to die.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to live.
Mm-hmm.
I have no quality of life. I'm in pain all over, and I can't function and do anything.
Yeah,
we're not supposed to end their lives.
No.
In an initiated way, we're not supposed to end their
On the other
lives.
hand, avoiding such a state has essentially the same roots regarding Shabbat as avoiding death.
What
Mm-hmm.
about the person who says, stop feeding? They say, let me starve to death. Is that what?
We're not allowed to cause anyone's death under no circumstances. It's not. Okay, well, you're basically okay. It's a moral question. It's a halacha question. It's not an easy dilemma for a Tuesday night class, right, to be answered, of course. But as a general rule, we are the life has to continue until God determines they're not continuing. And trust me, He's got a lot of creative ways. When it's time to go, it's time to go.
You
Yeah.
remember maybe a little in their direction, kind of half a baby step in their direction. You probably remember a story when Rabbi was ill and the prayers of scholars were keeping him alive but not healthy. Rabbi's servant essentially arranged so the prayers would stop.
Mm-hmm.
That you realize, not concrete action.
Yeah. You cannot compare saying a prayer over stop feeding or disconnecting a machine, right? We all believe in power of prayer and we all know that it has an impact, but stopping praying would not be in a place of unplugging someone from a life support.
From personal experience, I know it's about the early point.
Yeah.
That if somebody is dying of cancer, for example, it takes time.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll get prepared psychologically. But when somebody close to you suddenly dies, you hear this news, that's just incredible. It shocks you to the deepest point.
So that's exactly what they happened. With Moses, they said the days of mourning for Moses came to an end. Why did it come to an end? Because it was expected, because the writing was on the wall, because they all saw it coming with Aaron. It was sudden, and that's why it lasted more. Yeah?
Personally, if I get this kind of disease, I would like to die. Instead of, especially when it's terribly painful. Some people die in terrible pain. I would like to die a bit earlier.
Okay.
It's still far away. However, from what I observed, most of these people in the euthanasia movement, etc., they are grandstanding. They say, oh, I cannot kill myself. I want the right to die. Well, if I were you, I would just drive my wheelchair, it's electric, to the riverbank, and that's over. So you want to die. Why are you making grandstanding and giving interviews?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
The question will be if there is some spiritual penalties on doing that. If funds done right, can be limited in an extreme case like this.
Yeah, I wouldn't dare to say spiritual penalties for stopping the prayer for someone's health. It would be quite daring to say, a penalty would be offered. Anyway, I want to move on. Scott wants to go, and I want to get to the point of where we at. You're helping me. You're helping me getting to the point. Anyway, so we said the distinction between the ketubah, it says chodesh, the get, the divorce, says yerach. Chodesh is itchadshut, is renewal, novelty. In the ketubah, you expect the relationship to be renewed. Yerach, it means a month. It's just a month. It means that they're supposed to, they can't find their way with each other, and that is what the tractate Nida says with regards to the family purity laws in Jewish religion. It is taught in a Baraita that Rabbi Meir would say, for what reason does the Torah say that a menstruating woman is prohibited from engaging in intercourse with her husband for 7 days? It is because if a woman were permitted to engage in intercourse with her husband all the time, her husband would be too accustomed to her and would eventually be repulsed by her. Therefore, the Torah says that a man is menstruating. Why did I ever get to that woman right? That word right? Woman shall be ritually impure for 7 days, during which she is prohibited from engaging in intercourse with her husband, so that when she becomes pure again, she will be dear to her husband as the time when she entered the wedding canopy with him. The idea behind family purity life is the distancing actually causes closeness. The fact that we are distant from each other really helps renew the energy and the love and desire of the wedding, of the marriage. And in fact, this has been proven in thousands of cases where people who were not getting along with each other, with their wedding, with their marriage in the right way, and then they were offered to try and practice the laws of family purity. This had brought back life, brought back joy, and brought back satisfaction to the relationship. Now, here is another quote from the weekly portion. When a man takes a new wife, he shall not go out in the army, nor shall he be subjected to anything associated with it. He shall remain free for his home for 1 year and delight his wife whom he has taken. Meaning, wedding, no business no seminary, no university, no army. Time it in the right way so you could be home. What is vesimach? This is a little bit of Hebrew grammar here. Vesimach, the word et in the phrase vesimach listo can mean with, or it can introduce the direct object, namely his wife. Thus the phrase could either mean he shall rejoice with his wife, or it could mean he shall delight his wife. Here Rashi decides that the meaning of he shall delight his wife, that is the verb is piel, intensive, causative, that is conjugation. Thus the correct rendering is as it appears in the Targum, Unkelus veyechedi yat itete, he shall make his wife happy And those, like Targum Notan ben Uziel say, V'yechede yat itete, he shall rejoice with his wife, or imitete is mistaken, for it's not the translation of Vesimach, but rather Vesamach. So basically what happens is, and soon we'll see why is it so important, are you supposed to be happy with your wife, or are you supposed to make your wife happy? And the distinction, what, you want to comment about Hebrew grammar? I knew it.
I wonder if, could it make enjoy your life?
No, that's not what it says. That's not Vesimach et ishto. No. That would be perhaps Vesamach im ishto, not Vesimach et ishto. Vesimach ishto means you make your wife. And the reason for that is...
In English, when you say enjoy your life, it's a direct object.
Yes.
She is a direct object.
Okay, but who is enjoying? Who is enjoying?
The husband?
Okay, well, we're talking about delighting your wife. And the distinction is critical, actually. Rashi wants to bring us one of the most deepest foundations of happy marriage life. It's the difference between somebody says, I want both of us to be happy. And the answer is that it's not always possible. Or in most cases, it's not possible. Many cases, one side wants something and the other side thinks that it's not justified, or perhaps it's even nonsense. But this is really the key. When you want to make your wife delight, or to make the other party happy, it means you're giving up something of yourself. And that is the real key for marriage. When you are able to not only do things that cause you enjoyment and joy, and enjoyment and joy to the other party, because that list is very short. The list of things that makes us both equally happy is very short. We are different people with different personalities, and we enjoy different activities and different scenarios. But when I am willing to put myself aside and to make my wife happy, meaning to delight my wife, that is the key. And of course, she reciprocates and does this on her end. When you are giving up of yourself, not just searching for what makes you both happy, which again, in cartoons and in Hollywood, these are attainable things, but in real life, that's not always the case. So delighting your wife, meaning putting yourself aside, making sure the other party is pleased and happy.
This is a very humanistic tradition. Like in so many cultures, wife is regarded as a property, as a tool to please you. That's all. Okay, what she feels is not important. And here, make her.
Yeah, absolutely. Torah has the fine line between having responsibility, which is commonly shared by the husband, the responsibility for the stability of the marriage life, and that's why the man is the one that so to speak, takes his wife, marries his wife, divorces his wife. It's all active about the man's side, and it's not about saying something or defaming the women. It's about who's got the responsibility for the stability of the marriage. But yes, of course, absolutely, it's a good comment. We need to find how to make our wives and our spouses happy in the right way. And this is something that needs to be dedicated effort and time to do that. You were saying something, Ruben?
No, I was just paying attention that close to the end there is a change in the voweling of the word, or the main verb of the phrase.
Between Vesimach, Vesamach? That's yeah. So if this was Vesamach, he will be happy with his wife. But Vesimach, it means he makes her happy. He makes her satisfied. So after that analogy from the field we have between people, we could get back to where we started about taking a good resolution and make sure it stays. We're talking about where our relationship with God Almighty. And the expectation every person has in the beginning of the year is to have a new year, to have an addition, to give a gift to God. What do we want to do? We want to give God a gift. He's giving us a gift of waking us up every morning.
You and your wife are giving a gift to God every year.
What is it?
Your kids.
Kids. Okay, yeah. Well, they're a gift to us too, not only to God. Okay. So the Baal Shem Tov. I know. No, I'm not. They're going nowhere. No, right? Not sir. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah. So the Baal Shem Tov says, it says in Psalms, sound on the new moon, the shofar, on the appointed time appointed time for the day of our festival, for it is a statute for Israel, the judgment of the God of Jacob. And here's what the Baal Shem Tov says. You see that the verse is set up in a different way. It doesn't say tik'u shofar b'chodesh. It doesn't say sound the shofar on the new moon, which grammatically would make more sense. But it says sound on the new moon the shofar. A person should always see to that he or she would be in the new moon or on the new moon, meaning always aspiring to do things fresh. And that is what the verse says. Because, look at the second part, for it is a statute for Israel. He says when it is a statute, my bad. When a statute, this will bring judgment. When things are done automatically, when things are done in the same way because you're used to it, that brings judgment from above.
It is, we do that on only one new moon.
Right. Of course, this refers to Rosh Hashanah, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems that there must have existed on the appointed day of our
the appointed day.
New moon that is a festival at the same time.
Sound on the new moon, the shofar, sounds awkward in English. Does it also sound awkward in Hebrew?
Yes, it should have said sound the shofar on the new moon. Tik'u b'chodesh shofar. It's supposed to be tik'u shofar b'chodesh. Tik'u b'chodesh. תקעו בחודש שופר, צריך להיות תקעו שופר בחודש. אז היה צריך להיות, זה יותר קל, באנגלית זה יותר צועק, אבל בעברית זה גם היה צריך להיות. אז זה מה שהרשות עושה, תקעו בחודש, קודם כל צריך להיות בחודש. First thing you have to do in the new moon, meaning how to make it like a moon, how to make it new, how to try and to do things in a fresh way. And that is what the Rebbe explains. In Torat Menachem, the only way to attain delight and pleasure in our service to God is by looking at our work as a new one every day. And the Rebbe Rayatz writes, every Rosh Hashanah, a person should accept upon himself a new addition in the observance of mitzvot. Through this, we can cause an addition in the revelation of God's light in all the world. And to that, we could add what the Rebbe says about Rosh Hashanah, what's so unique and special about this holiday, besides being the head of the year. And of course, he says, look at all the other holidays to do with numbers. And it says, you start with Sukkot, for instance, it has 4 species. Right? We take Dulav, Etrog, and that's Arava. On Hanukkah, we have 8 candles. On Purim, we are commanded to send 2 types of food to people. On Passover, 3 matzot. On Rosh Hashanah, it's only one big mitzvah, the mitzvah of shofar, the sounding the shofar. There's only one shofar, and it needs to be sounded, right? And basically, from the Torah, we should only do tu'ah 3 times, right? It says tu'ah 3 times, but we don't know what tu'ah, whether tu'ah is shvarim or tu'ah, right? It could have been tu, or it could be tu, right? We don't know what it is. They don't know. Our sages didn't know. That's why we have to do 30, just to cover all the options. And later you do the math. Why every tu'ah has to have tkiyah before and after. So we do all this. But basically, it's one shofar, one sound, one simple sound that takes us back into where we are.
Wondering if, why, of course, it's not a strict mitzvah of Rosh Hashanah, there was ever a custom of sounding a shofar on every new moon. That sounds impossible.
You could blow a shofar, you could sound a shofar anytime you want. It's not against the rules. But for the mitzvah, unique is the.
That verse suggested at least at some time there was such custom. At least it doesn't sound impossible.
Well, possible it is. The question is, there a mitzvah in it? The problem probably isn't. Yeah.
Some Christians try to kind of imitate the Jewish tradition or whatever, and also try to blow the shofar. From our point of view, are they doing the very wrong thing, or?
Well, they're not sinning. With all due respect, some Christians also wear tzitzit. I've encountered that in Taiwan. Some Christian groups, they wear talit, and that's already beyond. That's something I don't accept, and I don't encourage. For them to sound shofars, they go to Jerusalem, and the people in Jerusalem rip them off. They see a Taiwanese walking into a store. You probably sell them a 1,000 shekel shofar, which probably would cost me 50 shekels, but that's life, I guess. And then they have choirs, where it was probably 7 or 8 years ago. There was this big ceremony I was invited to, and they had a whole choir from Tainan or Kaohsiung of Taiwanese people blowing. They have this big shofar. I don't know. I mean, no prohibition on that.
let's go for difficult questions.
Yeah.
Then imagine a Jew is isolated, listen to that guy sound the shofar, his only opportunity to hear the shofar Rosh Hashanah. Should the Jew make a try for that?
Well, the idea is that you cannot make someone else do the mitzvah if you're not obliged on the mitzvah on your own. So since the goy doesn't have to hear the shofar, they're not able to do the mitzvah for someone else because they're not under the category of the mitzvah. But is it better than nothing? I don't know. Probably, yeah. It's better than
In the
nothing.
same vein, you can say to see somebody wearing tzitzit is a pleasure, etc. But okay, you want to be so Jewish, drop your Jesus. So and convert, and then we'll accept you.
And another, we'll end with that, Scott. We'll end with that. What was fitting for this year won't fit for next year. An interesting instruction with regards to the garments of the high priest Aaron shall enter the tent of meeting and remove the linen garments that he had worn when he came into the holy, and there he shall store them away. Rashi says, and there he shall store them away. This teaches us that they require being stored away forever, and he shall not use the four garments for any other Yom Kippur. On Yom Kippur, there's special garments made out of linen, white color. That's why many communities wear white on Yom Kippur, and those were actually disposable. Why would they be disposable? You could barely use them, right? You just wore them for less than a day on Yom Kippur. You would keep them in a special cabinet. But the clothing of Yom Kippur that was used this year are to be left forever, because what was fitting you this year is not going to fit you next year. You're going to grow, not growing your stomach, meaning growing in spirituality. And the garments, the clothing that limit you, that hold you, are now small on you. You'll become a bigger person, a better person. You cannot use the same garments again after a year had passed. Yeah?
It's a bit like the garments put in a dead people and to the grave.
Well, I think the association is a little more positive than that. But
no, I'm thinking that like young people are supposed to bury all the things, linen, all the things, start a new life.
Okay.
And the whole thing go away.
Keep it there. Okay, so that's that. Don't forget to register for Rosh Hashanah.
As for these Christians who go and get cheated for shofar, they want shofar. Why don't they learn Hebrew?
You wanted to learn Hebrew.
And bargain with